are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I was back down at the physio today getting some more acupuncture and laser therapy, and I can tell you this right now, that will be the last time I go down there and spend $81 for what essentially seemed like a prayer. Like they were saying a prayer over my rib. Please heal, please heal, please heal. Amen. Maybe the acupuncture did something, but I can tell you right now, the laser did nothing, and combined, they're not shaving any days off my healing process. I'm already going insane with this fucking injury as well. I can't really run. It's getting more sore. Just like in positions, it's just uncomfortable. Anyway, he wanted me to come back again this week for more of that shit. I'm like, no. I'm not coming back. I'll call you, all right? And he said like several times that the only thing you can do is rest it. I shouldn't have even gone back today, to be honest with you. I need to find some way to fucking exercise though, because I'm not sitting around doing nothing for that long. I'll just do light weights. I might give it 1 week. 1 week to fucking sort of settle down, and then I'll just start doing light shit. So frustrating, but fucking here we are in the middle of a setback. And you know the Boyale, he really doesn't like setbacks. Usually a setback is around about the same time I quit. I've just sort of moped around today. Just really fucking moped. And I think I'm going to mope around again tomorrow for my birthday. And then maybe after that, I'll start thinking of reality. It's just that it's a rib injury and there's nothing you can really fucking do with them. I was on YouTube last night going fucking exercises you can do with rib injuries. And they're basically saying just rest. It's pretty much unanimous. You just need rest. And that's just not good enough for me. That's not a good enough answer. There must be something. I might message fucking Goggins, Dave Goggins, see what he has to say. Yo, Gog, what should I be doing? He'll just call me a fucking pussy and to get back to it. I did a plank earlier. I held a plank for like 20 seconds and it hurt, but it wasn't impossible. Maybe I'll just do it. I'll just do whatever doesn't hurt too much. Honestly, it's like God doesn't want me to have a six-pack. He knows how dangerous it would be for the world if I got a six-pack. He's like, no one should have that much power. Boyle, with still a little bit of hair and a six-pack? No. That's like having a fucking nuclear weapon. With a six-pack, he could just walk directly into Gaza and fucking broker a peace deal. We need to strike him down before that man gets too much power. The only other time I was close to getting a six-pack was the day before I burst my lung. And that was a setback that fucking took me ages to recover from. Again, with that one, I didn't realize how fucked I was until like months later. I didn't realize I'd gone through like a big fucking procedure. I was just like, I need to do kettlebells again. But it all fell apart. And then this one, I would have been fucking killing it. I did take a fucking photo as soon as I got the rib injury. I was like, I need to capture the shape I'm in at the moment just in case I fucking never get back to it. I will 100% get back to it, but just in case. So I'll fucking put them on the Patreon. I'll put the before and after on the Patreon tonight for my birthday. I said I'd do it. So I've got some photos I took of when I was probably at my worst. It wasn't my actual worst. My actual worst was like a few months later. So I took these photos of me being a fat cunt. I got my wife to take them. And I was about to embark on a fitness fucking health regime. And then I did nothing. And then I got even fatter from that point, but I didn't take pictures. So this has been like a 3-year journey, over 3 years to get to this stage. You don't just go from fat cunt to shredded just immediately, like I thought you do. There's like setbacks, you go on holiday, you go on a few fucking eating benders, Sometimes you can't be fucked working out. Then that ends up being a month not working out. Then you realize your diet's not as good as you thought it was. And you have to refine your diet down to a point where you're like, all right, this is manageable. I can sustain this diet and I can do it every single day, which is not what you do when you originally start dieting or changing the way you eat. I just completely changed the way I eat. It's not even a diet anymore. I just don't eat the way I used to. Unless I get a rib injury and a slight setback, then I fucking just fall apart immediately. Anyway, I'll put those on the Patreon tonight or tomorrow. I'll put them on tomorrow. Finally, the before and after, the Boyle's rig. The photo was taken about 3 days ago on Friday. The rig's still pretty much the same, except there's a few Macca's feeds and a couple of packets of chips on top of it. Anyway, it's fucking Monday, baby, and you know what time it is? It's Ask Boyle time. So if you have a question you would like answered by one of the greatest minds of the generation or any generation, comedian, philosopher, Craney le Boyale, then head to my website, boylecomedy.com. There's a section there for Ask Boyle. Fill in your fucking details. Ask your question. Send it through. I'll get to it. While you're there, join the Patreon for a fucking full frontal photo of my fucking titties tomorrow, plus a picture of my good rig, something to whack off to. And also, while you're there, before you finish, if you're in Canada, Vancouver show's on sale, 6th of December, Toronto, 8th of December. They're selling quick, so get in there. Hopefully they're going to sell out in the next few weeks, so get on it. Anyway, let's get to this week's fucking Ask Boyle. So this week's Ask Boyle was sent in by the wonderful Tahlia down there in Melbourne, a great fan of the podcast. On the Patreon, I think she got fired actually from her job and then cancelled her Patreon, but she's been back and forth twice, so I trust her. She was on the Patreon, then ditched it, and then came back on the Patreon, and then ditched it again, like a true fucking degenerate. And she was also at the Live Oppression Chamber podcast. And I think her husband called Izzy the N-word, if I remember correctly. Anyway, here it is. Talia's question. Hi, Boyle. I need some help. I had a kid and he's 1.5 years old now. I love him and I love being a mum. Should I have another kid? Should I wait? What's a good age gap? Is it cruel to only have one child? I hate being pregnant and my first kid slept 12 hours a night from 3 months old. Will I regret a second kid? Well, Tahlia, you have come to the right place. I'll answer your last question first. Will I regret having a second kid? The answer is yes, you will, but you should still have one anyway. So let's get to it. You definitely need to have 2 kids. There's many reasons why you need to have 2 kids. The main reason is single or only children are fucking weirdos. We all know an only child. We all have a friend that's an only child and they're fucking freaks. They're delusional, fucking weirdos that just have no concept of fucking reality. Have you ever met an only child that you've been like, oh, wow, that was a cool person? Never. And my cousin who listens to this podcast, who's an only child, will be listening to this, agreeing with me. She'll be like, he's right, I'm fucked. It's true. I don't know what the fuck happens with only children. I think their parents give them too much attention. They always get what they want. I don't know, but they just are fucking detached from reality. No one punches them in the face for being a cunt when they're younger. I think that's the thing. So that's pretty much the main reason. I remember when me and my wife were thinking about having the second one, we were like, fucking, should we? I convinced my wife in the end. She was like, no, I'm happy with this one. I'm good. I'm like, yeah, but look at him. and he was behind the couch just playing toys by himself. I'm like, look how depressing it is. And he's just going to want attention from us all the time. Just all the time. We're not going to get a break. We need another kid in there so they can fucking entertain each other. You know what I mean? And she still wasn't convinced. And I was like, look, he's not going to have a lot of cousins. He's not going to have that much fucking family around. It's not going to be like a big fucking Indian family. You've only got one sister. I've only got one brother. My brother, unless there's some sort of fucking miracle, he's not going to have kids. And your sister is fucking 6 years younger than you. So there's not going to be cousins around the same age. So there's not going to be a big family. So he's going to need someone. It can't just be us and him. And I was like, can you imagine not having your sister? And that was enough for her. And then she's like, all right, fuck it. Let's have another kid. And I was like, let's give it a little while though. Let's let's ease into it. Because what I didn't want happening, I didn't want to have two fucking babies. I didn't want to have a 2-year-old and a newborn. My good mate, my friend's got that going on now, and it doesn't sound fucking fun. I wanted to have a kid that can put on their own fucking pants and a baby as well. So we left it a little while. We put 4 years. There's 4 years between my son and my daughter. And that was perfect. I also thought when you keep it close together, because me and my brother didn't get along when we were younger, I think the age gap was not far enough apart for us to like each other. We were too close. Although I don't know if that's a thing, but I thought like if we were a little bit further apart, like 3 or 4 years, it would have been a little bit different. So the 4 years was good because by the time my daughter was born, my son was fully functional. Didn't really have to look after him too much. He could do his own thing. 4-year-olds are pretty much, you can send them out into the world. The only problem with that was, and I didn't think it was going to become a problem, but it kind of did. Leaving the 4-year gap has meant that fucking having a third kid is probably not viable. We're probably a little bit too old for that. I didn't think I was ever going to want a third kid. That's why I didn't mind leaving the 4 years. But if we had only left 2 years, then I probably would have convinced my wife to have a third kid, which is almost, it's impossible for me to convince my wife to have a third kid now. She's just like, I'm a fucking old bitch now. She doesn't say the bitch bit. I threw that in. So, fucking, what were your other questions in that one? Should I have another kid? Yes. Should I wait? And what's a good age gap? Is it cruel to only have one child? I'm not going to say it's cruel because there are circumstances that may not allow you to have a second kid. But if it's your choice, then it's cruel. One of my wife's friends, they have a kid, and this kid is fucking begging her parents to have another kid. Just begging every fucking day. Every time we go out, there's another one of my wife's friends who was pregnant. She just had a kid. And this kid runs up to her and fucking touches her belly and says, I want a brother and a sister and all this sort of shit. She's like 4 or 5 or something. And the parents are just refusing to have another kid. They bought a dog and thought that was going to fucking help the situation. But the kid just wants a fucking brother or a sister so bad. And they just keep on refusing. So they bought another dog. I think they bought a second dog. If one dog doesn't fix it, then 2 fucking will. So I think that's pretty cruel, to be honest with you. I think it's pretty cruel. Yeah. If you've got the energy and time to have 2 dogs, then you can have a fucking kid. 2 dogs equals 1 kid. Anyway, let's go back to those other 2. Should I wait? Look, I would give it more than 1.5 years, yes. If you start trying now, it could take a little while. 9 months will take you into like almost 3 years. Not quite 3 years, 2.5 years. I would give it another year before I started trying. 2.5. They're pretty sweet around 2.5. You want like 3 to 4 years gap. That's what I reckon. I suppose there's plus and minuses to all of it. If you keep them closer, you're fucking done quickly. It's all over. Then you just need to ride it out till they're both 18, which will come around pretty quick. But I would leave a gap. I reckon 3 or 4 years is a good fucking gap. I just want to go back just for a second and explain myself about not having fucking 2 kids being cruel. You have 1 kid, that's sort of for you. That's for the experience. And then you have the second kid for them. So when you have the first kid, there is a selfishness in not having a second kid because you know what the first kid's like. You know this second kid's going to be a fucking nightmare as well. 2 of them together. None of it's like going to be fucking great and easy. It's going to be harder, but you do it because it's the right thing to do. The world doesn't need any more only childs. There's enough in China, all right? So anyway, I hope that fucking helps you, Tahlia. Thank you for the question. That'll do for today. If you're enjoying the potty, give us a share around, and I'll see you the fuck later.